Thank you very much for taking the time, Explosive, to come on and have a chat with us.
Yeah,
Mm.
thanks for having me.
So, Explosive is based in Australia,
In
and he's a PNG streamer. Maybe Explosive, you can tell us about a bit about what you do and how long you've been streaming and things like that.
yeah, I stream Apex, Call of Duties. I think I've been streaming for probably two and a bit years now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And how are you finding streaming? Like, uh, is it something you just do on your spare time, or as a hobby, or you just do it just for fun? What's
Yeah,
what
as
what
a
got you
hobby,
into? Mm.
as a hobby, as a means to sort of get away from all the stresses and all the,
Right,
yeah.
that's true. I hear it from a lot of a lot of the boys, a lot of the gamers, a lot of our friends that a lot of the time it's a good escape for them. It helps them, yeah, escape from the mundane work life or whatever they're going through in the daily life. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I think in terms of that, um, gaming, you'd say you would how would you think it's a good form of relaxation?
I think a good form of relaxation and um, having having to sort of joke around and chat with the boys as well too.
True.
Is good, especially for myself being here. I mean, I've got friends, I've got mates here, but like not a lot of them are Papua New Guineans, So
Right.
having to play and chat with our fellow countrymen feels comfortable enough, Like sometimes, well, most of the time we'll joke around and sort of
Yeah.
have fun, but there are times where you can have a serious conversation with one of your mates,
Mm.
which is really good because you feel comfortable with people or you feel like they would have the same sort of life experience or same mentality towards certain life issues.
Yeah. So have you sort of done that when you like come online? You start playing games with some mates, and sometimes it's I mean it's usually we have fun, right? But has there been
Yeah,
times
yeah,
where like you found like maybe like a source of help or support for you from the
yeah,
boys
yeah,
or any of your
yeah.
friends?
A couple of the boys have had some sort of serious conversation, about life in general, and uh, you could probably say uh, mental health as well.
Oh, that's
But
good.
yeah, yeah.
That's good. Um, yeah. So I noticed you came on the stream the other night, and you mentioned a few things and asked a few questions which I couldn't answer personally, to be honest, because I'm not
Hmm.
a trained professional. But I did recall that you mentioned something about anxiety and a bit of depression that you had gone through in the past.
Yeah, yeah. I think one main factor would be leaving everyone, your family, your sort of safe haven,
Yeah,
uh, leaving them back there and then coming over here and starting a life on your own with your partner and your kids. It is
that must have been
daunting,
tough, right? Tough decision
Yeah,
for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. it was, and there were times where you sort of hit hit a brick wall and wish you had people around to sort of help you through it.
Mm.
But I think, in a way, it was a good sort of a good thing, because then you get to come on top and figuring things out on your part. Like at the end of the day, it's still hard, like when I first came over, the first thing was trying to get a job. So because of our level of education back home, so whatever you do, certificate, diploma, or whatever, and you come over here, you think you'd get that same job or whatever you're at back home. It's totally different.
Yeah. It's a totally different system.
I know people who were HR managers back home in PNG, and when they come over here expecting to get that HR management job, but it's just certain qualifications. They don't meet certain qualifications.
Right.
So it is hard. So you have to sort of figure a way to sort of maybe start from ground zero, and then work your way up again, which is.
So you, before you came, it was you sort of weighed up the pros and cons, or of your decision to move.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the cons was that you had to leave your family,
leave my job.
your parents, your sisters and brothers, back home in PNG.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you feel you made the right decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a tough decision, bro, and I can understand a little bit, because personally I don't have. We should mention that you have a wife and kids and family unit of your own, which I haven't have. I don't have kids yet for myself, but I can somehow relate a bit with that. The way you feel like you left, leaving PNG, and you leave a bit of you behind.
Yeah. And I think, like, our culture, our support system is, our family, whether it's our parents or relatives, cousins, sort of thing. That's our support system. So when you leave that, it's sort of, okay, what do I look to for help if I'm struggling in certain areas? So I came over here, and then I realized that I had this anxiety. I had stress, or anxiety. Like, at first I was like, oh, it's probably nothing, brush it aside. And I went back home. And we went to Vision City. I remember we went to Vision City, and it was so crowded.
Yeah.
It stressed me out. I was like, just,
right.
having to be.
So you went to Townsville? Oh, sorry, I should mention. I forgot to mention that you were in Townsville. But you went back to PNG. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I went back to PNG for my dad's 60th birthday.
Okay.
Holidays. Yeah. So we went to Vision City, and it was so crowded. Like, just jam packed, and I had a anxiety attack.
Wow.
In the middle of Vision City, and I told my family, I can't do this. I'm going outside and wait in the car.
Need some air or something.
Yeah. And I was like, what the heck was that? I was like shaking all over. My heart rate went high.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So it crossed over to a sort of a physical reaction where your body was reacting as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then that was the first time I experienced physically experiencing an anxiety attack. And then when I came back home, came back to Townsville, I could pick up, or when I'm having an anxiety attack and stuff like that. And then I could also, when I'm in a sort of depression state,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I could, you can tell, you can tell when you're down, you're depressed. That's when you shut everyone off.
Right.
You isolate, like I isolated myself from my wife, my kids. My wife even went to the extent where, oh, you don't want to live with us anymore. Just isolating yourself. You're not interacting with us, the kids, and this and that. So I sort of locked myself up, built walls.
Mm. Mm. To feel safer. Is that what
Yeah.
your feeling was like?
Yeah, sort of. And then when I used to drink,
Mm.
everything came up. All the anger, the depression.
Mhm.
So then I'd get into an argument with my wife.
Yeah.
It sort of went on, and then sort of lost control, sort of thing.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I had to go and see a doctor. They prescribed me some medicine. They even made appointments to see a shrink
Right.
and everything, sort of thing, So I think I saw a shrink for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. So before you didn't really think you had anything. Was that correct in saying that? That you were just like you didn't. I mean, for Papua New Guineans, I think it's kind of like we didn't know this. Well, for me personally, I didn't know there was such a thing as anxiety and depression until later on.
I didn't know. Like for me, growing up in PNG, depression. When you hear depression, it's like, oh, okay, he probably had depression, suicide, and killed himself because of a girl. That was the mentality. Oh, I'm killing me because I'm depressed or some or something like that.
Right. We didn't really get the full idea of what it was, huh?
Yeah, I didn't really until I came over here. You start worrying about things, bills, pay going in, pay or getting paid late or less, and then getting late. Dishonor, late bills, all those stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you were in Australia, you went back home to Port Moresby, and this anxiety sort of attack, the first one just happened.
Yeah.
So it was like even though you were back home with your family, something happened to you and it just brought on this attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? Like, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
I came on and I was like, my dad came on later after doing shopping and he's like, you okay? It's like, yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't breathe. Couldn't breathe in there. It was so crowded and it was edgy,
Yeah. A lot of people around and I used to get that honestly. When I used to go to school, I would go to school like for a year, a boarding school, and I'd come back to Moresby, and I'd get that feeling like of a different world or something. Like even though it's home, and then after a week or so, I'd be like, oh, this is home. It's weird. It's weird to explain, but it was something I went through as well. It's like you got so used to the Australian life, and then you go back. You get thrown back into the PNG life, and it's like you got to get used to it again.
Yes, that's right.
But that's thank you for sharing, by the way, with us, because I know that it can be kind of hard for some people to pick up these past emotions and feelings.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like definitely. Like I went in for counseling. That was one of the key topics as well. Is feeling comfortable to talk about it. Because when you don't talk about it, you hold
That's
it
what.
in with bills and bills, and then
That's
when it has the opportunity to unleash, you might do something stupid. Yeah. So that's that, and I think
your family's asking for you. Where are you?
no, my son
Oh, okay.
Junior. Yeah,
Oh, yes, yes, Junior, yes.
yeah. He's,
He's
he's
coming
sort
to
of like
visit Dad.
oh, where's this guy? He's always looking for me. So. Yeah, no. So now I'm on that medication like 24/7. When I
Okay.
run out, I go back. I get more. So, and I asked the doctors, it's like, oh, will I ever get off this medicine? It's like, oh, for now you're gonna be on it like permanently until you can sort of control your emotion and have a hold, on your emotions. Then you can sort of see if you can do without it. But so far it works. And when I am not on it, I can tell. Even my family can tell straight away.
Oh,
If
right.
I miss my medication, I start getting angry. I start snapping
Oh, okay.
little. Yeah, I start snapping. I start getting snappy on little things. They'll know, and then
Right.
they'll check my medicine and
Yeah.
go, he didn't take today's.
Right.
That's why. So
Okay. Well,
yeah,
yeah, that's. But it's good to hear you're dealing with it, and you saw someone professional, and
yeah, yeah,
you slowly. I hope the best for you, that eventually you get control of it, and less meds and that type of thing,
yeah,
which I'm sure you will. I'm positive that you'll get through it.
yeah. Like I think another key part of it as well is get plenty of sleep. So when I was having all this um, depression and
Yeah.
anxiety and all this stress, I wouldn't sleep like um, for hours, or I wouldn't sleep for days, sort of
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then I went in for counseling. I said, talk about it and have plenty of rest, because if you sit up, you start stressing about it. You start thinking too much, then you start going, I'm staying awake, so I might have a beer or have a whiskey, have something, and you're just going down the wrong path, on trying to deal with your stress and stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
now I've been, getting lots of sleep and just not thinking too much about certain things, like when a bill comes in, I don't stress about it. I'll just okay, be positive, think about something positive.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And that your family's there, it's because there will always be bills. I mean, you get rid of one bill, there's another bill
yeah, that's
coming
not a
coming
bill.
soon.
Oh,
But
true,
this
true.
the one good thing is that your family's there and they're
Yeah,
behind you, which is a really good a good fact for you, that you have your family behind you that support
yeah,
you.
and I've got like Junior. He'll come up to me as well and tell me, "Hey, Dad, I don't like it when you because you're someone else." Or I'll
Right.
have my wife tell me, when you're angry and mad, you you're not our daddy. You're not our
Someone
like
else.
you're someone else.
Okay. So even
Mm.
your kids are that sensitive, they can tell.
Yeah, yeah. So now I try my best. Um, you know, researched into other ways of trying to distract my thinking, mental, the stresses and stuff. So far, so good.
Are
It's
there other
working.
things like I remember we did try and recommend. Sorry, pardon me.
Mm.
I did recommend trying to be active more and personally, I try to do that myself, and I find it hard. But
Mm.
that was one thing I think I mentioned to you in the other stream, was that trying to be active more, go to the gym. And I did notice some of your posts before you were going to the gym,
Yeah,
which was a
yeah,
good
yeah,
sign to see.
yeah. So exercise is one key